So, yes, so where were we? We were interacting with people who are on the show and who's joining us from where. We have Girish with us. We have Nabendu with us. Hi, Kailash. So I was talking about the reactions. I was talking about the feedback on the last show that we had in Attitude. How a couple of people called up and said that there are a few things that we take up on the show and which deserve a lot more conversation that we have on a particular episode on the show. For example, we had the Fear series, which we took off for three consecutive episodes back to back. So if there's anything that you'd want us to elaborate further or talk in further depth, please feel free to share it with us because I'd love to speak on something which you'd be more interested in. So you can give me feedback on something that you're more interested in talking and then in listening, and then we can set up the topics accordingly, right? So today, what we're going to talk on is something very close to my heart. That's what I just shared. This is something which is so common as to be let gone or just to be bypassed as a way of life. But this is something which needs so much attention, and that is called your relationships. This is the believe it or not, and whether you even agree to this or not, the relationship, the quality of relationships that you have will determine the quality of life that you live. So for most of us it's like we are bound by a lot of relationship. It begins with our parents and then it goes on to our siblings, our friends, our colleagues, our significant other, then goes on to our children and the community at large that we have around ourselves. But most of the time when you see when people, it's like they're very successful on the outside. There's a lot of things that they've achieved, big goals that they've achieved, and roads traveled, but they go the relationships that they carry, the most important ones of them, which is their children or their significant other, is on a very weaker level. And that guy tells everything about the success, because success is not just the money that you make or the places that you visit. It's all about the relationship experience that you have built for yourself, right? So it's a very interesting thing. And the quality of your the kind of relationship that you're having is, if you ask someone, what's the most important thing in your life, by default the answer is, for me the most important thing is my family, my children or my spouse. But if you see their lives, are they really living it that way? The way they're living their life, does it really show that their family is most important? Most often than not, no, it doesn't show that way. So for instance, if I look, all that I have to see is maybe your calendar, to see that are you really giving the time to your family, to deserve, does it deserve the importance? Are you giving it that importance in reality in terms of your calendar as you're really saying? Look at your checkbook, look at your bank account statement. Are you taking care of it enough financially to say that it's the most important thing? And your calendar and your checkbook would say it all. Your bank statement really says it all. So it's like, the values that you have are not really demonstrated by just your words, but also by your deeds. What are you actually doing? So how a person will spend his or her time reveals, what they really value. And a very interesting thing I read when I was listening to Darren Hardy is when he was interviewing the late Zig Ziglar, and when he asked him, that what is your key to success? What is that one single important thing that you would attribute to your success? To which late Zig Ziglar replied as that I always make sure things are good at home ground, which means I always make sure that I have very strong relationship back home. Because what he says is, if things are good back home, then things can be good outside too. You don't need to struggle outside too much if you have got very good relationship back home. And that makes so much of sense when you think about it. When I think about relationships in my life as well, the kind of relation that I share with Vishal, with my kids, it's all a thing of how it's a barometer of how healthy your lifestyle is, how healthy your world is. So, and to think of it, guys, why do we work hard anyways? You do so much of work, you go to work, you spend hours in office, you spend so much of time building a good lifestyle. For whom? It's for yourself and your family. And when you're lacking a good connect there, what does it mean to you? Because at the end of it, when you're lying on your deathbed, if someone asks you, what has been your more treasured thing, I'm sure your answer is going to be the love that you shared with your loved ones, the moment and the experiences that you've had with them. For none of us, the answer is going to be the cars we've driven or the houses we've built or, all those pictures peripheral things. For none of it's going to be that way. So if your relationship is so important, why not work on that first? Why not take advice from people? There are people who have had stupendous relationship on a completely different level altogether. Why not go there and see what they are doing, how they are doing things? So I've made notes for those people who have had brilliant relationships. For me, it's a very important and one of the most important endeavors of my life to build superb relationship with Vishal and all that we do, brilliant relationship with my kids, with my parents, with my siblings. It's been one of the most important things because one thing I've realized, guys, is when your relationships suck, your life sucks. And we certainly don't want to do that, right? So the first and foremost thing that I picked up from those successful people is that when you really want to build a great relationship with someone, know what their goals are, know what their fears are, because for each of us what we aspire is different. So in your relationship maybe you're aspiring for something else and your spouse may be aspiring for something else, and also what you are after changes over a period of time. It doesn't remain constant. So in the initial years of your marriage maybe your goal was something else, and after maybe having children the goal has moved to something else. So it doesn't make sense to just know their goals once and for all, and then you're set for life. It doesn't work that way. It keeps changing. Every 3 months you may want something else. Every 6 months your aspirations may change. So on a continuous basis, you need to know. You need to understand their hearts. You know what's it that's really going on with them. If you don't know their desires, if you don't know their goals, you really don't know them well. How many of you agree to this? How many of you into the relationship are truly concerned about what is their partner's goal, what is it that they desire, what is it that they really want, what's it that they're after? Have you been into that space where you're thinking about you really don't know what that person needs? Please feel free to share if there's any one thing that comes to your mind when we're having conversation on goals. Do you really know? Are you aware of what is it that the person truly wants? Or it keeps changing, it keeps evolving over a period of time. Do you bother to find out what that changes, what that evolution is? Feel free to share, guys, because the more you share the more value you can get out of the conversation that we're having here, right? And the second thing is also get to know their fears, because uh, when you re-engage with them, you know what stops them. That gives you a chance to share your fears as well, right? It's a continuous thing. Some of our fears are deep rooted, which is not possible that someone can see it on the periphery of watching who you are or by your actions. You need to go really deep diving into the conversation to know what is that fear that the person is going through. So knowing the goals and knowing the fears of that person is a huge takeaway in building a great relationship. The second point is, guys, you need to build unique and varied experiences. The typical couple who gets married in the initial phase of their life, and you try to go out for exotic holidays, you try to give brilliant surprises to each other, and everything just fades over a period of time. When life takes over everything, there's no newness, there's no vibrancy, there's no growth. You kind of lose control over your relationship. So that's what it is. So when was the last time, think of it, when was the last time you tried to craft something magical? In maybe last few months or last few years? So, and then people wonder, why is my relationship so boring? But it has to be, if not, because it is these experiences, these unique things that tighten the bond of relationship, right? If you don't have these brilliant experiences together, you're bound to get bored sooner or later, and the magic all dissipates over a period of time. Do try to do varied stuff together. Try to do your adventures together. Try to visit new places together. Even if when it comes to your children, try to make it different all the time. It doesn't make sense to do the same routine stuff over and over again. That builds a great relationship, right? And the third one is, pay attention to what that person is saying. How many times have you seen yourself, just getting onto your phone when that person is talking and really not paying attention to what he or she is saying? You're just present in person, but not really present with your mind. And that's the biggest challenge. If you can focus just for 10 minutes with what that person is person is saying, without looking at your phone, that's when you have given that person your complete energy. Think about enveloping that person with all the attention that you get, all the energy that you can for some time, at least when they're speaking out, listen to them attentively. Maybe they're not looking for solutions, maybe they're not looking for root causes, and especially it's difficult for people like me too. When someone's blurting out something, it becomes a way of life, and I start looking for the cause, I start looking for solutions. But maybe that's not that they're asking for. Maybe they're just looking for someone to listen to them, someone to pay attention to what they're doing, and you just have to be there in the moment doing that. you know Show. It's very, if you remember, there's a famous quote by Jersey Jackson. It says, people don't need your presence, which means your gifts. People need your presence. People need you to be there. However much you shower them with gifts or anything else, but there's nothing that can substitute the time that you give. One of our mentor Sidra says all the time that your time is the best thing that you can give to that person. Just stay there, present fully, and that's the best thing. Learn to be vitally present with them and just not in person. Very important thing of building great relationship. And the fourth one is, you need to share your journey together, if especially with a significant other. But because you don't want to be showing that you are just fine all the time, you want to be asking them, you want to share the shitty side of you, you want to share the dark side of you, some roadblocks which you're not able to conquer. Who can be a better person than your spouse to help you see those blind spots? Why are you not able to go through those roadblocks? What's really stopping you? That person, the best person that can take you off. So share your journey together, your personal growth. There's nothing better than putting personal development into your relationship. Trust me, guys. That's why into the program, when even in the trading program, coaching program, where we teach how to become a trader, there are exercises that we ask them to do on their mindset part. And especially when I'm speaking to the participants, I tell them very emphatically that these are the certain exercises that you have to do with your spouse. I want you to be doing these exercises with your children as well, because I want them to be part of their personal growth, and just not because personal growth is not just individual, it's a family thing together. If your spouse is not enrolled into your personal growth, what's the point of growing when you're not carrying that person along with you? It doesn't make sense. When you're engaged in a personal conversation together, you feel more connected to each other. So your relationship, your enriched relationship, is bringing life to your life. So better be a good job at it, better do a good job at it, right? And then the next one is appreciate the person, and not just what the person has done for you. Suppose the person has solved a problem for you, the person has done an errand for you, the person has cooked some scrumptious meal for you. It's not just appreciation for that kind of work, it's appreciation for the totality of that person. The person has been through a hardship, appreciate that. He or she has been through dark times, appreciate that. When you appreciate the task or the job of a person, we do that with the servant as well, right? There's no difference between doing it with a person whom you're paying to do that and your spouse. Appreciate their struggles, appreciate their dark sides, the challenges, the frustration, appreciate all of it. So tell them emphatically, sorry, tell them emphatically that I really appreciate for the person who you are. I appreciate you for the challenges that you've been through, not just for you to be doing these things for me, but for the way you show up, in public, for the way you show up, when the way you stand for your values. It is these things that the person need appreciation for. And so these are the little nuggets, and the best of all that are really that takes up everything is the last one, which is always project positively, which means there's this innate belief that that person is trying to harm me or trying to speak against me, or maybe not trying to wish well for me. All that is bullshit when you're trying to build a good relationship. If that person is doing, if you have to emanate from a space of positivity, do that person is really thinking good of you. Assume that the person is standing for you, the person is standing with you, the person is all about you and not otherwise. Because I always believe in that one saying which says all of us are doing the best that we can at that particular point of time. So that person is also doing the best for you at that point of time. So come from that space, and that pervades everything, that overshadows everything that the person says or does, because you're always looking, projecting that person positively for all his or her actions. So it is these little points that build a great relationship. If you have to make note of it, go through the points again and see to it in the last maybe 1 month or maybe last 6 months, how have you scored on each of these points? How much have you appreciated that person? How much have you tried to build? How often have you tried to build, good experiences with that person together? How much present have you been for that person? Have you been really attentive? How much of your personal growth journey have you shared with that person? And lastly, have you really projected that person positively, or have you come from the space of negativity? Do that for, evaluate yourself from all these 6 points that we discussed elaborately in the last whatever time zone you would want to. It's a long-term relation, do it for the last 6 months. How often have you done that? Because it is, relationship building is hard work. It is not automatic, unlike most people think it to be. You want to build something, it's hard work, guys. It's not going to be automatic. Just because you're married to someone doesn't mean that you sort of for life. Just because you have conceived your child and now you build a relationship with them doesn't mean things are going to be automatic. Just because you have great friends doesn't mean the bond is going to last forever. It's a hard work thing. You have to keep working hard at it. But unfortunately, that's the last thing that we work at. So try to do this and try to give your feedback on the show as well. If there's anything that we can, is there anything that I can do? Yeah, someone's sharing the energy that you give also gives us to attention that someone is giving. That's perfect to the attention part. The attention that you give to someone, that denotes the energy the person can make out. You're standing there and be thinking, getting it out of the just listening, versus that you're actually listening to that person with all your energy. That makes all the difference. So do share this video, guys. Do share this video with someone who you think can benefit from this. And I hope, and also for people who are looking to buy the book, go to malkanbook.com, and the book has a lot of stuff on personal development as well. And I hope you had a great show. Do share this video, and do share your feedback on how implementation of all this is going on. And I'll see you on next Wednesday soon. Thank you. Bye bye.